So, I've been thinking, there's been a little bit of a problem in my upload schedule, right? And in classic me fashion, I've been trying to figure out why so I can fix the problem, right? Because the goal is keep uploading, keep doing stuff on YouTube, keep doing all these fun little drawing project stuff, right? That's the whole goal of the channel, is to keep doing project stuff. But there's recently, the past few months and whatnot, there's been some difficulty getting that goal done. So I've been trying to figure out why. And the idea that I came to was, well, it's kind of like this art piece that I've been working on, right? So this is a free run art piece that I've been working on. I worked on a little bit, a few different times throughout the lifespan of the channel. The channel's not that old, so, but I've done some work on it, right? And it started off like, all the other different paintings, blank canvas, right? Then I went through, gave it a background, really enjoyed the background, cleaned it up a little bit, all the stuff. Gave a little block here to get an idea of where the free run positioning was. I liked where this was going. And then I added the sketch lines here. I really liked this look, right? I was really enjoying it. All good things were coming along. It was great. And then I cleaned up the lines, and I wasn't sure if I liked it anymore. And it's a classic problem with artists where they'll clean up all their lines, and because of how sketchy and messed up their lines are, it causes it to not be as clean as it used to. But that's not actually the gripe that I have with this. The gripe that I have with this is that it no longer sparks interest for me to keep working on it, right? So there was a life to this one that I really enjoyed, and that life somehow got lost in this step. But, I carried on, cleaned up the lines, took out this background piece, and added some paint, right? And this is where it ended. It looks a little flat for sure, but that's really easy to fix with just some shading and whatnot. But I stopped working on it because I just didn't know where to take it from here, and not necessarily in like a technical art sense, because I know the next technical step here is to match the colors with the skin, right? And then go through and add in all the little bits of shading and whatnot. But it wasn't like I didn't know the next technical step. It was I didn't know what step to take next to keep me invested in the project, right? So the YouTube channel is kind of like that, where I slowly worked on it, built it out. It started off with me just talking over a black screen, and then me talking over some different art pieces, and then me doing the art pieces live here, right? And throughout all of those steps, there have been pieces put into place that refined the process, right? Kind of like this step here. It refined the process, but I think that it lost some of the stuff that made it feel alive, right? For example, I really like this look. This look looks really interesting to me. I'm a big enjoyer of this look here, right? It's a little bit, it's a little bit rough, all the different things, but there's something about it that really makes me want to work on this and, increase some of the different details and whatnot. But this look here, I really like it, right? And this look here, I like this as well. Not quite as much, but I am a big fan of this as well, right? Where it has some of the outlines, some of the pieces, but nothing super, super, super solid, right? But for some reason, I'm not a fan of this look. Part of it is I think the eyes make it look dead and whatnot, but I feel like it's missing some of the I like way more rough drawings, right? So like this, I love these. I love these little crab pieces that I made, right? And I think that's because of the roughness of the drawing. I'm way more of a fan of like Leonardo da Vinci's sketches and things like that. That's kind of the influence that I like to take stuff from. So I think I'm gonna go way more this kind of style rather than the classic clean art line stuff. I think part of this is because I grew up doing line tracing, and the line tracing always just didn't quite scratch that art itch that I liked, and this kind of reminds me of that, where it just is pretty much a line traced copy of the original art piece, and it doesn't add much, whereas this here is this feels like a live piece of art that took inspiration from the stuff that was going on, rather than like the whole thing. I'm a big fan of how this turned out, which means we might have another step like this again, where I fill in all the pieces, but then I might end up removing it so it, has this really, really cool, like, feel to it. In the same manner, the channel has been feeling a little dead. Where the life in it, the life that was like, sparked the whole thing, just wasn't quite there anymore. It just wasn't the same thing. The videos were getting a little bit cleaner, they were getting a little bit more organized, and I'm starting to push to see if I can actually get some editing done on these things, because editing's hard, and it's not easier with a computer that doesn't like the editing software, so I haven't been able to download it yet. That aside, because I am excited to do editing and whatnot, because it'll make the videos a bit cleaner on the pieces, but I think where I went wrong is somewhere I lost an important aspect to it, where I started to feel like there was this responsibility to make sure that the videos fit a specific vibe. And that was never the intent of the channel. The intent of the channel was so that I'd do cool projects on the internet, right? And so, when I would sit down and have a little bit of time and I'd go, hey, I could work on the YouTube video, I would end up not wanting to work on the YouTube video, because it would feel like I had to make sure that certain pieces were in place before I worked on it, right? Such as like, oh, I know what I'm going to talk about, so I don't end up rambling for 30 minutes, off spur of the moment things without a clear line of idea that I'm going through. Or, oh, I don't know what I'm going to draw, so I should wait till I get some sort of idea on what I'm going to draw, rather than sit down and do some like small little doodles on on what I would do on a napkin, right? And I need to talk about these kinds of things. I need the videos to be this long. Right? So there, as the channel got refined, it felt like the videos needed to be the videos themselves needed to be a bit more refined. And the problem that I was facing with that was it just wasn't. Oh, you could probably see my little Spotify thing. It wasn't the channel that I started with that kept me doing all this stuff. The other part of it was that I definitely needed to do some. I definitely needed to make sure that I, uploaded more consistently. That's definitely one of the problems. So one of the goals is to do that, where I'll upload more consistently. The problem with that is that the more I started to upload, the harder it got to keep up with the uploads, right? Because that would make it so that this needs to be a specific type, XYZ kind of thing. Let's go. I love this brush. like, oh, I need a topic to be able to talk about stuff, and then I wouldn't have a topic, and then it would be like, it's really hard to upload. I gotta work on all these different things. So I don't think I'm gonna follow that particular style anymore. I think it's gonna be way more free flowy. If I have something I want to talk about, I'll talk about it, and if I don't have anything I want to talk about, I'll probably just ramble for 20 minutes as I sit down and draw, or like 5 minutes or whatever, and they might be longer, they might be shorter, but I think it's going to become way more, loose, so that I can keep the more important aspects of it alive, like keeping interest in the art, making sure that I actually do all the upload stuff. If I make sure that I keep uploading, then that makes it so that I can really continue to improve on the channel, because repetition really helps with improvement style, that kind of thing, right? And you can see that I'm mumbling and grumbling a bit more with how I'm talking here, and that's because I just kind of did that for this episode, on this episode of the channel, this episode of My Scream Into the Void. I am going to ramble at you guys. Will you all listen? Yeah, so it just started to feel like the whole channel was losing its life to it, right? And because it felt like it was losing its life to it, it was harder and harder for me to actually get in and do the stuff, which caused it to lose more of its life. So it became this cascading cycle of, I have no clue what just happened there. What the frick? I'm so lost. Solid. Because of that, I just kind of just lost the drive that originally kept pushing me forward, in the sense of like, oh, I have these other expectations on it. Go, make sure that it's this and that and all these other things. And that just kind of made it a lot harder to keep up with that, idea that I had for this self-imposed expectation of what the channel should be, because that's what it has been, right? I hear a lot of YouTubers talking about it, and it's really funny that I'm doing that. It's like, they've been doing this for 20 years, and I'm sitting here not even a year in, being like, yeah, I totally get what you're talking about with that one. Oh, it's super freaking funny. But yeah, so that is what started to happen with it, where it just kind of lost its whole purpose got lost in the sauce. And so the general idea is to just go a little bit more loose on this. Not necessarily need all the different pieces, all the different subjects laid out, stuff like that, and just kind of wing it. Way closer to what it used to be back in the day. I say back in the day, it hasn't even been a year. And then that makes it so it's easier to keep on the uploads, and then just kind of drop some of the self-imposed expectation of what should be put on the channel and what the quality should be, so that I can actually make sure that things keep happening. Part of it is like, oh, I was I have some breathing problems, so it's like, oh, well, nobody wants to listen to me wheeze all the time while I'm sitting there drawing. And that might be the case, so I might just end up drawing with some background music and zero commentary. And, you know, I would genuinely be okay with that, because I would just shut off my microphone and just, you know, put on some music. Just listen to the music while going through the drawings. Right, but even like this little drawing here, this nice little sketch, even this little sketch was like way more fun and way easier to do than the past few drawings I've done. Not because I didn't enjoy the past few drawings, but because I could just sit down and start doing it, which is just, it's just great that I can sit down and do it again. Because I have been able to get a little bit more time off of work, which has been great, but then I've sat down and not done any stuff. I've done some things, I've been social and whatnot, but I haven't done anything on here, and I've been wanting to. But I've also been like stun locked in the sense of like all these different expectations I put on myself to make sure that I meet, you know, what the channel should be. And then the channel stopped doing anything because it just got stuck. I realized that that's what was happening, but I wasn't quite sure how to fix it, so I just decided to sit down and just be like, well, this is what's going to happen. And then that honestly made it a lot easier to keep going with this stuff. It's interesting because in the same time I was doing this, I ended up losing one of my 4 subscribers. Now I only have 3. I'm like, oh, well, honestly, totally valid. I had zero problems with it, which was a little shocking. Because it's like, oh, I actually had way more enjoyment from having the subscriber than I did in losing the subscriber. So overall it was a net positive, which is a little shocking because I totally expected to like be a bit more down about it or be a bit more apathetic about it. But I did feel it a little bit, which was interesting because I was expecting to either be totally apathetic towards it or just like, you know, not care about it or like be pretty broken up about it. But I did care about it. It was interesting because it's like, oh, interesting. My content has gone down a little bit, which is fair. But it didn't hit super hard. It was just kind of like, oh, well, that's kind of sad. But that's the general set, you know. And I think I'm gonna, because I think the outros and intros, surprisingly enough, actually have part in why it's not quite as fun anymore, because it has like a set manner in which it's supposed to start. So I think I'm actually gonna do away with my outros and intros. I'll just like start the conversation. So, you know, that's the thing. I'll probably talk a little bit more on like keeping a cohesive conversation being difficult and whatnot, because I suck at multitasking. So talking and drawing at the same time is like about the extent of what I can do. I saw some people on YouTube the other day where they were like talking political commentary and playing a video game at the same time, and I'm like, I have that video game. I know how much like cognitive thought goes into that video game, but it's crazy that people can even attempt video game and talking at the same time. I'm really happy with how this bird turned out. I'm shocked with how happy I like this bird. Let's go. But yeah, like this kind of thing here, where it's way less. It's way less like super formal on how it's supposed to be, and these kinds of little sketches are super useful for me because they just give me something to do while I chat, and they allow me to just pull up a photo and just go with that. Anyway, that's the set of what I was talking about. So, it's real nice to get back into this because I actually genuinely enjoy this, but it was a little difficult to like feel this self-imposed pressure of what needed to happen, and like this is the quality of what things are and XYZ. So it's nice to just kind of sit back and just enjoy the process again.